Teaching Jay-Z is especially satisfying for me. I have taught courses on the murdered actor and rap icon Tupac Shakur at several colleges and universities. I have enthusiastically covered the history of hip-hop culture and music in detail in other courses. But teaching Jay-Z time and again through the years has been even more rewarding. It always involves a great degree of study with students about a range of issues and ideas, from class to gender, race to politics, public housing projects to blackness. Jay-Z provokes reflection on big social and moral concerns, and of course artistic ones too, although it becomes apparent the more I study him that he is no average bear, that he is quite simply a rhetorical genius whose wordplay and literary skill are nonpareil. The more I pore over his lyrics, the more I realize that I am dealing with an extremely intelligent poet whose work matches the poets I've admired since childhood. My pastor at church used to trade lines of poetry with me from Tennyson and Hughes, Brooks and Yeats. I developed an appreciation for the epic sweep of culture that could be condensed into the poetic arts. Jay-Z is capable of doing the same. He can describe street hustling with an artistic verve that is every bit as beautiful and poignant as that of the best canon poets. His rolling or clipped cadences, his dense or simple descriptions, his slow or sped-up observations about life unfurl like a thickly knitted quilt cast over shivering bones. I am impressed with how effortless Jay-Z makes it all seem. I have grown to appreciate just how much work goes into finding the right word, fitting in the right phrase, or making just the right allusion. He uses these skills to say that the rap game is in trouble, that racism is a persistent ill, and, most memorably, that no other rapper has enjoyed comparable longevity at the top. There's never been a nigga this good for this long, this hood or this pop, this hot or this strong. With so many different flows, this one's for this song. The next one I switch up, this one will get bit up. His verse is wildly eclectic. He can, in one instant, flaunt his own poetic virtue, and the next instant portray the bitter contradictions of zealous belief. I'm from the place where the church is the flakiest, and niggas been praying to God so long that they atheist. As I've studied and taught, I've learned of Jay's great sense of humor, his sense of irony, his love for his craft. I learned how he uses words to make us feel the crushing heartbreak of a broken home. Now all the teachers couldn't reach me and my mama couldn't beat me hard enough to match the pain of my pops not seeing me. As I listened to Jay-Z, I knew I needed to write a book about the major themes of his art, how he put his words together, and why they make sense the way they do. Jay's prodigious memory and his enormous cool made him that much more appealing. He is one of the few hip-hop artists I've seen in concert who can bridge the aesthetic gulf between the studio and the stage. The intimacies and implications of a hip-hop song are usually best heard in your headphones. It is far more difficult to catch a song's meaning when it's blurted out by a rapper on stage, seeking to match the timing and tone of the sound booth. I knew that to write about Jay meant to write about the themes he is taken with, to probe his verbal gifts, and to grapple with his growing political consciousness. His politics are sometimes subtle. Sometimes just a phrase or a bar communicates so much meaning. I arrived on the day Fred Hampton died. Real niggas just multiply. In the brief scope of this couplet, Jay does a couple of things. He identifies with a fallen member of the 60s-era Black Panther Party who was unjustly murdered by the Chicago police and the FBI. He also suggests that Hampton's spirit animated the birth of a revolutionary cultural figure like Jay himself. It should be clear that Jay-Z is America at its scrappy, brash, irreverent, soulful, ingenious best. He is as transcendent a cultural icon as Frank Sinatra, as adventurous a self-made billionaire as Mark Zuckerberg, as gifted a poet as Walt Whitman. When we see Jay-Z, we glimpse the powerful silhouette of American ambition, sketched against the canopy of national striving. When we hear Jay-Z, we listen to the incomparable tongue of American democracy expressed by a people too long held underfoot. What Jay-Z thinks and believes, what he does and says, is the quintessential expression of who we are as a people and a nation. The half-century mark for Jay-Z is here. He has become the genre's first billionaire. He reigns as an elder statesman in a field brimming with artists half his age. He continues to produce relevant rap records that make the charts. And he is charting an artistic and political response to revived racism and renewed hostility to blackness. Jay has logged 30 years as a recording artist. His ideas and the issues he addresses offer us plenty to consider. Masculinity and black love, hustling and elections, gentrification and generational wealth, criminal justice reform and neighbor-to-neighbor carnage, visual art and the unbearable whiteness of museum walls, racial injustice and the impact of slavery, the virtues of psychotherapy and its racial misuse, American myths of patriotism and empire, police brutality and the overmedication of black youth, and lots more besides. The induction of Jay-Z as the first hip-hop artist in the Songwriters Hall of Fame encourages us to explore his poetic gifts, his use of braggadocio and illusion, signifying and double entendre, metaphor and homophones, contronyms and metonyms. That signal honor and his towering stature also invite us to weigh his impact on hip-hop and to consider what his brotherhood with immortal MC the Notorious B.I.G., his beef with rap legend Nas, and his complicated relationship with rap superstar Drake teach us about ourselves and about hip-hop's reach and limits. Since this is Jay-Z's America, it is important to trace his influence on younger figures like basketball icon LeBron James and fallen rapper Nipsey Hussle, each of whom reflects elements of Jay's vision of hustling. It is instructive how even a few words from Jay bid us to reinterpret leaders like Al Sharpton and Martin Luther King Jr., and to scrutinize geniuses become scoundrels like singer R. Kelly and comedian Bill Cosby.